this is our launch, really, our public-facing launch for Collective Wave. We will go into more details later. Can we hop on? And there's a lovely picture of us at one of our events there. Can we hop on to the next slide?
Yeah.
I will kick us off onto the next slide. So our objectives for today is to talk about our path as a community. I won't go into detail because we'll be covering it later. So we want to just share an update on the progress in the community. With everything we do, it's always about connecting people from across different sectors and creating connections. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do that today. And to just give you, for those of you who haven't been with us on the journey, give a bit of context, a bit of history, and our current and very exciting plans for the future. Just a bit of housekeeping. So there'll be an opportunity for us to have a Q&A and community discussion at the end. If you've got any thoughts or questions or contributions you want to make, just pop them in the chat. We do record our events so that we can make them available because they often are interesting conversations and thought pieces. We're going to have it'll be around 30 minutes, but we've got a bit more time for discussion if it's flowing like that. And our agenda today is we're going to talk a bit about who we are, the past, present and future of the work that we've been doing, and talk a bit about the partnerships and opportunities. And I'm going to pass over to Yasmin.
Cool. Thank you, Hannah. And yeah, thank you everyone for being here. My name is Yasmin. I've been involved in the Collective Wave for 2 years now. We are the founding people of this group, and it has been a very interesting ride so far, and I'm really excited to share this new chapter with you and to welcome you all to this new chapter as well. And of course we have Hannah and James here as Horizon Scanner, or the person who knows everything. Hannah and James are business-minded partnerships and everything person that makes this group very important and very moving forward, right? So I am basically doing the community and the social media and more the forefront kind of part of seeing what you see online is what I've been doing and so forth. So yeah, we have all our different skills that are very complementary, and it's great to be in this group and to be with James and Anna. But we also have a structure that accommodates for, of course, more people. We are basically the core team, the one here. Our mission, really, that I'm going to share with you very soon is what really guides what we are doing. And then we are the core team giving the support of this mission that we're on. And we also have a space for, partners and associates and people who want to create workshops or create more practical opportunities with us that are on this network catalyst kind of area of our structure. And then, of course, the wider members, the people who participate in our events, that come to walks and the talks that we do and so forth. So all of these layers are important to create the consistency and the coherence on the community that we're creating. So everyone who's part of all these layers are important to make this happen. And you for being here are very important to make this happen. So thank you again for joining us. And next is, in a very short introduction, this is, in a way, why do we exist? And it seems a bit too complicated, but essentially this is based on what it's called the tulips model, and essentially presents the idea that something in our current society, in our current world here, is not working optimally, and eventually this is going somewhere that is the direction that we're seeing at the moment, right? There are many different difficult challenges in our work today, and our mission here is to really bring the new ideas that are emerging and bringing the new initiatives and the opportunities that we see to illuminate a new path towards a better future, towards a more united, collaborative future that we envision for the future. So our path is really on this bottom loop here that we are focusing on bringing together, connecting people, initiatives, companies, organizations to really work together towards a brighter, more collaborative future and path. And this is, in a way, in a nutshell, the mission and vision that we're on. So our mission is to create the conditions to empower communities in taking action on important and challenging social issues in today's world. And we envision a world in which communities are critical, continuous learners, and actively committed to a collective, fair, and united future. Some of the values that we have established for ourselves and that we really try to embed as much as possible in the activities that we do are these main ones. We have a more distinguished, let's say, sub-values within these categories in the website, but essentially is authenticity. We need to be ourselves. We need to connect with individuals and to people who want to create a future, with authentic selves, that we have so much struggle in today's world. Why with social media and all of that, is very difficult sometimes to connect with the true person. So we really value the authenticity in everything that we do. And of course, collaboration and collective action. We don't do anything by ourselves, right? We just do things in connection and relationships with other people. So this is an essential part of who we are and what we do. Also, continuous learning. We are not aim to be at any moment experts on anything. We are here learning and making mistakes and learning from them, and using our collective intelligence to put things forward and to create waves, right? This idea of the collective waves towards a future that we all want to create. Of course, resilience, because challenges are going to come, and not everything is linear, right? So we need to learn how to ride in this wave of complexity, and being resilient is very important to support us in this path. But also empathy, to understand that we're all different and we're all coming from different places. But when we listen and when we try to connect with individuals and collectives, we find that we're all, in a way, united to our collective mission. So these are some of the values that we really want to embed in everything that we do and in the way that we connect with each other. And yeah, that's a very quick summary of who we are and what we do. And I'll pass it over to James to share more about past, present, and future.
Thanks, Jasmine. Can we take the slides off, actually? Because I've got some notes, and I thought I'd rather tell the story a little bit, I think, and then we can maybe flip through the slides very quickly as well. But yeah, so this is we're building a collective space here. So yeah, I think everyone on this call we've spoken to before, good connections with ourselves, and yeah, we're building here as a smaller determined group of collaborators and partners who are really determined to have positive impact on the world, and we can do that better together, right? So just setting a bit of the context then. So really this group spawned from a global network called Systems Innovation, and been involved in that network probably since 2021 or so, and met Yasmin through that network, and she messaged me to say she's moving to Bristol, which was fantastic. So we had a conversation about setting up a Bristol chapter of Systems Innovation, and invited Hannah along to that session as well. And Hannah I've known for quite a few years really, and Hannah's got real expertise in working in complex systemic environments and delivering impactful work. So we found that the three of us had a really good alignment and really good sort of shared interests and aims for what we could do. So we set up a Bristol chapter, Bristol Hub for Systems Innovation, which is how we started, and that kind of we quickly became one of the sort of globally leading hubs for systems innovation, which is really looking at the application of systems thinking and systems innovation methodologies to complex challenges. In that initial phase, we were kind of in an exploration phase, so we were really trying to take our time to explore what sort of systems were happening locally within Bristol and what the challenges may be, and speaking to people working in some of those systemic areas, bringing together people we knew from our different networks and change makers and people doing interesting things, and tried to understand the context in which we wanted to work. And we spent time thinking about what kind of model could we form in terms of some foundations for collaborative working and having impact locally. And we've developed quite a lot of some really strong foundations in terms of a partner and associate model, which we'd all really be interested to discuss with you. And from there, we've moved more into sort of an experimentation phase where we've hosted workshops, we've done some systems innovation mapping, we've looked at systemic challenges and leverage points, and we've continued with a number of activities where we can bring people together, build those relationships, build that cohesion, and also do a lot around learning as well. So we've been really lucky, and I'm not quite sure how Yasmin's managed this at times, but brought together world-leading systems thinking authors. And we've got more to come as well on that. So likes of Jean Bolton, Adam Kahan, Diana Finch, people who've really shaped the kind of global perspective on how you utilize systems thinking for positive action. We've been able to host those authors and bring those to the community. So yeah, so in terms of like the educational piece, that's been really important for us as well. And then we've also been involved in some, nationally important projects as well. So there's a national strategy project which we've been involved in and helped to engage with that and shape the direction in which that's going, which is looking at longer term and community-based projects and programs being funded by the central government. And there's a really strong leadership around that from civil service in particular. And then more recently, we've put into place some partnerships for Collective Wave, which are going to be really important. So, like the Schumacher Institute, which is a globally well-known foundation looking at the application of systems thinking, and then Streams Learning as well, which is looking at an alternative education for younger people, helping them to thrive in an ever-changing world, really. So there's some really important partnerships we've got in place now. So we're really at this sort of action point in our journey, and our aim is to work as a collective with a smaller group of partners and associates, so we can do meaningful work together and collaborate on projects which address systemic challenges. So that's led us away from that kind of previous hub model of being a hub in a larger network, and it now feels like the right time that we're going independent. So as of today, we are the Collective Wave. So thanks, Kat. Whee! Explosions. There we go. So yeah, so let's get back onto the slides. There's a few stats I think to show you and just a bit of visuals and stuff. But yeah, that really hopefully gives you guys a great idea of where we've come from, where we're going. Let's just go to the next slide, Jasmine. Yeah, so some of you may have been along to previous events. We're growing a LinkedIn group. Yasmin's been really active on putting out some great content on there and sharing some really interesting resources. So if you're not in the LinkedIn group, do check that out. We're really keen on getting face-to-face and social events happening. There's been a walking event happening. There's been some online, some in-person, meetups and things like that. Obviously, lots of online activity as well. Yasmin's growing the YouTube database of content and materials, and all the recordings of the authors' talks we've done are on there as well. And I really recommend you check them out. They're super inspiring. And as I said, these are people who are globally leading in their fields, and we've been lucky enough to host them through our group. And we'll do lots more, right? So we've got lots more of that lined up. Go to the next slide, Jasmine. Just a quick mention here of Schumacher Institute and Streams Learning Hub. They're going to be really foundational to the work we're doing going forwards. Yasmin's already, working with the streams to look to deliver part of this systems innovation learning program to younger people. And yeah, we'd kind of invite any thoughts around this aspect. Schumacher are there to support us, looking at grant funding and delivering impactful work going forwards as well. And they have a global network of fellows who are have various expertise in aspects of systems thinking, and we'll be reaching out to them to help guide what we do in terms of impact and delivery as well. Next slide, please. Oh, this is the bubble slide. Yeah, so this was an idea just to kind of show what's bubbling up, I suppose, in terms of things we were interested in terms of projects and work. And we invite you to add your own bubbles here as well. So this is really just kind of giving you an idea of, like, we're going to be doing some more socials. We're working on a theory of change as well, and I think the next session after this, we'd really love to invite partners collective review and comment and critique of the theory of change we're working on, and also present to you guys the partners and associates model, just to consider exactly how you guys can align with this collective wave, and be involved in a perhaps more slightly formal arrangement. Next slide, please. What's next? Octopus. Is this you, Hannah? Or is it still me?
No, I'll hop in. Yeah, so just this is really about, I think, talking about the future, and I feel really excited for 2026 because we're moving into some action phase. And whilst I completely respect the need for reflection and thinking and learning about systems, I do love getting on with some things. So it's a really exciting time. Our work with Schumacher, unfortunately, they weren't able to be here today, but due to a last minute thing, but it really creates an opportunity for us to expand basically the offer that we've got for our partners, and for us to, as James said, access funding to do some of the things that we've learned is important for us to start doing. Part of the reason why we've got to this point is because there's so much pressure on systems to be sort of funding led, and then you are driven by these sort of slightly abstract requirements that are established in rooms very far away. And we wanted to take a needs or a interest-led approach. So we've been doing a lot without funding, but we're now in a position where we can start fundraising for the things that we know will make a difference, which is just super exciting. We're shifting the paradigm. And an example of some of the work that we're doing is if we go on to the next slide, is the very exciting partnership with the Streams Learning Hub, which we'll be looking at next year, which is an innovative alternative education program for young people, and I'm sure everyone's aware of the increasing pressures on the education system, the number of children not in school. My son is not in school, he's 12. He's not, mainstream school didn't work for him. So we need to start looking at different options, and this is a really exciting opportunity to explore that. Some of the other things that we're very excited about is we're going to, as Yasmin's working hard to continue the author learning series, and we've got some great people lined up for that. We are going to continue to do learning events and connection events, but I think we're just going to be very much more focused moving forward, and focusing our time on more projects. So, and we've got limited time. We all have day jobs. We all have other things we do. So we want to just be very protective of our time and make sure that everything we do is very focused. So yeah, very exciting time. If we just move on to the final slide, opportunities to connect. There's I think probably most of you have connected with us either in person or through LinkedIn. So we've got the we've got a range of resources that you can access to keep up with what's going on. There's a lot of updates that are shared online, so you should be able to catch things. And that's it really. We are now moving on to a section for a bit of a group discussion, a bit of Q&A. Any queries, any questions, or I would love to hear about any projects, because I'm quite excited about some projects we've got going on. So I'd love to hear about what you've got going on as well. So I'll open it out to the group. Jessica.
I'll kick us off. So do you want to talk a little bit more how you see core team engaging with in terms of the engagement across the different levels? So I think I kind of understand in terms of events and things like that, but in terms of that middle layer, how you envision that. Thank you.
Well, I think the main response is that we're taking a sort of interest and needs-led approach. So we do have a wider group of partners who are more closely associated with us that we call the E&A team, who we ran scheduled meetings with to engage, and it felt like we just didn't feel like that quite landed and the momentum wasn't building. So I think it's about checking in with the energy and the activity now and seeing what works for next year, really. But we very much intend to continue doing that. James or Yasmin, would you add anything else to that?
Yeah, I think we've mapped this out before, and we do need to share it a bit more widely with people who are interested. But in terms of the kind of, there's a small core team, basically Hannah, Yasmin, and myself, and then we were looking to work with people who want to partner up with us, right? So that might be come and help us deliver certain projects, bring opportunities into the core team that we can help you work with or help bid for. There might be other things that you think you can bring to the table, right? So you might want to lead part of a core activity. So if there's some education piece you're interested in, or some community aspect that you think would chime really well with this group, that you've been looking for a platform to do that with, we're inviting that in you guys to sort of pitch those in, really. And then the associate kind of aspect would be something which is a bit more a bit lighter touch, really, and maybe it's people who want to come in at certain times to offer some specific insight or some impact into certain projects that we're working on. So yeah, it's kind of like the closer you get to the circle, it's kind of associates are a bit more out in the field, partners maybe working collaborating with us on something directly, and then obviously the core team as well. And just to say, if people are really interested in the core team aspect, then obviously we're really happy to chat with people if you've got a burning desire to help us out with some of the admin stuff and things like that. But yeah, we're trying to keep that all pretty light touch, really, and yeah, really sort of transition into this action-based activities now.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, and then we'll come to Kat. We are really open to people joining the core team or at any level. And I think the key thing is it's got to be led by the individuals who are interested in being involved and what they're able to commit to. We meet regularly, weekly, we're pretty active, and there's quite a high expectation. And I think that's just a lot for most people, but that's very open. And then I think the idea was just to create levels to meet people where they are with what they want to do. So that's driven by you, really. Kat.
Yeah, I have two questions. So one is, are you envisaging a paid consultancy type model, or is it volunteer based to start with, and then you might explore that in the future, or is that a definite no from the outset, do you think?
I think it's both. So what we're focused on doing what we think needs doing, and what we're hoping to do is to have projects where we are able to pay people for time and energy, and people can, if people want paid work, that's what we will bear people in mind, or include people in projects where we get funding. If people want to drive areas of work regardless of that, that's fine. We've got models for both. So again, it's led by the individuals, I think.
That makes sense.
I'll just to add to that quickly as well. So we are in a phase where we're going to be looking actively at what funding might be out there and how we can get our hands on some money to do some meaningful projects. And we'd really be keen to know more about people who want to be part of that sort of partnership network, and where your interests are, where your backgrounds are, where expertise are, so that we can, as a core team, we can bring the right partners in at the right time to apply for specific pots of funding.
So my follow-up question is, are there any sort of particular themes or areas that you're focused on? Obviously, education is a big topic. I'm just sort of coming at this from almost trying to bring all systems together at the moment and integrate into them to try and understand where climate, health, work sustainability and economic sustainability fits. And the sort of banner of Climate 2.0 is the only thing I've got at the moment to really sort of give some cohesion around it. But it incorporates so many different areas and so many different systems that it's almost too complex for people who love complexity. And so I'm just wondering if there's a core focus area which I could then go, okay, that's part of what we're trying to do over here, so that would make sense to partner with you. For example, I think there's a real opportunity for Bristol to lead the clean air revolution, the indoor air revolution. There's a brilliant friend of mine has set up clean air for kids for Bristol, and it's focused on trying to get Bristol City Council, which are green and should be doing this stuff anyway, to do a sort of city can and roll out 200 air filters in schools and classrooms. So that sort of opportunity to help an organisation like that would be amazing, I think, for this group to really, show immediate impact as well behind a sort of clear trend that is happening, but also position Bristol as leading that.
Yeah, I can quickly share my take on it. Part of the theory of change as well, path that we're on, it's to formalize a bit of what do we mean by better future or more thriving future, collective futures, and so forth. And we've been working on like clusters of topics that we would like to bring, for example, authors to talk about and create activities around. And for example, we have a whole cluster on just systems thinking, complexity, science, ways of thinking, more of that individual kind of aspect. But also we have a cluster of collective participation and collective doing and all of that. So these are, let's say, themes of ideas that we want to bring to the table, but how they are going to be translated into projects, that I think depends on the person leading the project, right? For example, my interest is in education and the youth and so forth. So I had beautiful encounter with Joe and the people in the Streams Learning Hub. And then because of that, because of my interest, and of course, based on these themes that we are interested in, then I merged the education with, you know, the future and the collective practice, right? So I think that's a better way to kind of go forward, because we have clusters of interest, but the way that is going to be translated in reality and in projects depends on the person who is leading that, essentially.
I will add in, I think underpinning our approach is that we didn't want to be thematic specific, because of what you were talking about, that kind of everything's connected, right? You can demarcate it out when you get really into projects and focus. But if you're trying to create the conditions of possibility for people, then you can't do that, because otherwise you exclude groups, you undermine the potential of that cross-pollination across systems and things like this. So that was quite an intentional model. But we have very much established ourselves to support people with an idea to connect with other like-minded thinkers. We've got the over 500 connections on LinkedIn. We've got the Schumacher network. We've got the Si Hub network that we can use to support and facilitate connections with people who also want to put their energy into that project. So you can create your collective of people who want to work towards the same goal. So very much we'd like to support that. Any other thoughts or questions or exciting projects that people are planning for next year? Sarah?
Yeah, hi. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm sort of feeling, I've got the bubbling up going on anyway. So I'm in South Wales, and I used to be in Bristol, but I'm now in South Wales. So there's a couple of things that are kind of going around my head, but nothing's kind of fixed. It's all very kind of like bubbling up stage, I think. There was something called the New System Alliance in Wales. And I don't know if anyone here has heard of it, but a kind of network of organizations that were interested in developing their thinking skills, working differently, thinking differently, coming up with different approaches to complex issues. And I'm meeting somebody from that alliance next week. So this is really timely. Because I'm a relative kind of newcomer in Wales, just been here a couple of years. I want to just understand a bit more about where that network got to and what the appetite there is for, you know, continuing. And I think they had lottery funding, which is a bit of a classic, you know, that kind of, here we go, built all this energy and momentum. And I know they did some projects and they were kind of building their network, but then there was a bit of a cliff edge. So I want to kind of understand where they got to, and then it would be lovely to kind of think possibly with them, what's the appetite for doing something else? You know, where's that network got to? What's the vision there? And whether that might be something that might be something I might get involved in with them and be able to sort of bring to the table as a possible project. I've also been involved in something here we've been working on a sustainable food system idea, which is kind of sits under a climate conversations kind of banner here in South Wales. And yeah, I think we've tried to grapple with it, and we've kind of had lots of questions about, are we place-based? Yes, we think we are, but we want to kind of bring a wider kind of global understanding to it. I'm very much thinking about the sort of Schumacher principle there. And we wanted to connect with, be part of the local community. And there's lots of questions around that, about how to engage and how to really involve people, and start from where people are. So I've kind of stepped back from that a little bit, because I've been doing some other things in the last few months, but that's kind of one that's just there bubbling a little bit as I've been listening. And I think it's really interesting here in Wales, because we've got this thing called the Future Generations Act, which is unique to Wales. And it's all about other people might have heard of it, but it's about kind of always thinking about how we create the kind of conditions, the environment for our future generations to thrive, which I think is really exciting. So that I think there's something about the landscape here, the possibilities. It's a very dynamic time because we've got elections next year, and there's a lot going on. But I think there's all kinds. There's a kind of, I think there's an impetus. There's a sense of urgency. Certainly, I feel that to kind of really work on some projects together and be part of a kind of learning, a learning community. And I think it's a time when that kind of community and nourishment and inspiration is so important, because these are tough times. I think you can just see that. I can see that around me. So I think that's so welcome, you know, to really be able to do some important work, and feel good about it and positive, and want to keep going. Persistence. So I think that's probably enough from me now, but that's, I'm just brilliant to be part of the conversation.
Thanks, Sarah. I will just throw in about the nourishment point, because part of this work, this is nourishing. The reason why we can put our time into this when we're all super busy is because this nourishes us and maintains us, supports our efforts in the rest of the areas of our work. So were you going to come in, Yasmin?
Yeah, just to also mention that another part of the projects that we are going to start next year is to highlight the local initiatives through local interviews and conversations, and because there's so much, it's something that we've been talking a lot before, that there's so much innovation, there's so much systems thinking, collective, work happening, especially in this area, that it's so inspiring, but there's not much of a spotlight in their work, and there's not much of a understanding of the work that they do. And I think part of the mission of envisioning a more collaborative future is sometimes to just highlight what other people are already doing. And this is also part of the work that we want to put out there, is not to just add more stuff or create more stuff, is to just highlight what the brilliant work that is happening. So this is another part of the work that we are doing next year. And you sharing, Sarah, and everyone about other initiatives, other organizations, local people, whatever, that are doing this work is also very important, because we want to talk to them and share with more people, with the members who are in the community, what they can be participating on, that maybe it's closer to them, and maybe it's, I don't know, right? Is really a collective work. It's not just us here just presenting something completely new, because we are not really.
Thanks, Yasmin. I am super excited about that project. Storytelling, hope, unsung heroes, all the good stuff. Can't wait. Hannah.
Hello. Also really excited to see you taking this turn. I was in SI a few years ago, so great to see the kind of action focus. Really be happy to be an associate or something and hear more about that. I was just curious, in the type of projects and work that you're doing, you mentioned this one where it's mapping the local ecosystem, but are you aiming to also stay quite place-based? That's something I'm quite interested in at the moment, is bioregioning. Like, okay, a lot of our issues are not siloed to a location, but your power to influence and to understand that system and convene is, I think, from place out is where I've come to with that. So curious to hear your thoughts. Something hasn't been officially announced, but something I'm working on is we've just got ecological citizens funding. So this is UKRI pot through the RCA. We're going to be we're doing Futures Imagining, it's in Hertfordshire, but trying to sort of merge that with systems thinking and co-design, and take it from something that's quite abstract in the transition movement to moving that through something that's more of a systems framework and getting that balance. So Thanks, Yasmin. I'd love to sort of be in the conversation from, sharing what we're learning, but also having a forum where there's space to maybe sort of crowdsource ideas and, bring projects on a sort of semi-informal basis where maybe we're all sort of cross-pollinating across what we're working on. Don't know if that's something you've considered. Yeah, that was a few things.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in? Oh, James or Yasmin?
No, yeah, you're saying, well, that's, extremely exciting. And yeah, we're more than open to talk with you about, what the future of maybe a partnership or other activities can look like, for sure. And in terms of the local aspect that you mentioned, is a bit of both, right? That, of course, the projects that we are starting to be involved in are more local, and we want also, because we've heard from so many people that online is good, but is enough. We would like to just go in person somewhere, have a coffee, and talk about whatever the future. And we also want to do maybe, once a month, go back to our social events that we were doing last year, or this year, the year's not over yet. This year to, just share and have a good time, or just to have a good learning session, but in person. So, but we're also active online, and we're doing the authors series and all of that. So it's a bit of both. And yeah, finding local cafes to organize a chat or things like that. So we are a bit of local and global kind of perspective. James.
I would just add to that, like, it's sparking something locally is a lot more straightforward, I think, because you have the networks in place. Some of the relationships are already there. There's a kind of a relationships built on trust and commons of knowledge and understanding of what's needed, and and the time from like talking to actually can be a lot quicker. If you try and do something at a large level, it can take a long time. I've been involved in the initiation of something called the National Strategy Project, which is sort of a UK-wide initiative looking at sort of bringing positive change through community action through lots of funding, like talk of like £100 million fund, for example. But there's been a lot of talk for the past 6 months or longer on that. And I think just trying to build alignment between many different diverse regions and actors and areas is really tricky. So I think, we're absolutely interested in starting local, but then inspiring global, maybe that sort of thing, and bringing those stories, to a wider audience, a wider platform, and helping other things to get initiated in other areas as well. Key local.
Jessica.
You're on mute, Jessica.
I thought I clicked the button. Building on what you were saying, Sarah, and also Hannah, all the Hannahs, and everything. I think one of the exciting things is the convening powers that you'll have in terms of spotlighting, but then connecting and bringing people together. Because one of the things I'm interested in potentially bringing and seeing is that, so in my mostly day job at Community Energy England, where we are a national organization, but creating the conditions for local empowerment and using energy systems to connect up to putting people at the heart of the sort of energy transition. And then all of the co-benefits that come with that in terms of alleviating fuel poverty and, sort of public participation and health benefits and all of the good stuff that comes when you have sort of local people taking control and all of that. But one of the projects that we're interested in is a youth-focused one in terms of how you connect up. Community energy is like a very well-kept secret that needs to not be a secret because of all the benefits that it can provide. And it's happening all over, but in pockets. But then also it is a very it skews older in terms of the people who participate and volunteer and everything else. Whereas the benefits and the action and the outcomes are very powerful for young people. And so it's like how we sort of make this connection. So that connects up into a lot of different themes and a lot of different things. And so although we're a kind of national infrastructure organization, I mean, I'm obviously based here in Bristol, and also one of our new team members is from Bristol. Oh, sorry. Bye, Sarah. And so it's like, again, it's like, can we use some kind of local catalyzing force to pilot and test something that we can then, as a national organization, sort of like spawn out into other places. It also helps that Center for Sustainable Energy is based in Bristol, headquartered in Bristol, even though they're a national organization. And so it may be that we could team up with them to do some stuff. So yeah, so I think there's some interesting things there. And then also interesting in terms of how we pilot and test different methodologies for connecting local to then the wave, you know, the wave out into national and global. So I think that's super exciting. And I think it's really helpful to have you guys acting as that sort of a node in the network to try and facilitate and catalyze that.
Amazing. Thanks, Jessica. That's really exciting, actually. Very inspiring. Kat.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of models, you might want to look at Tech for Good Southwest, because they've been really trying to link into all of the community organizations, you know, work out where is that those levers where they can have the most impact, and sort of they've created a few various different sort of education projects with some of the big corporates in the Southwest to really build their engagement in things like AI and things as much as possible. But also from a health perspective, where I've sort of been navigating the world of systems change as well over the last couple of years. So King's Fund and a couple of other organizations in the democracy space, things like Our House and John Alexander Citizens always pops up. So they're do with toolkit and methodologies, really sort of branching out into loads of different areas. And so I'm sure there's stuff that would be applicable, you know, for this group to feed into, and likewise, and sort of link up a bit more with the London-centric sort of organizations that get more involved and invited to the democracy events and things, which is obviously, you know, some of the challenges with just being in Bristol, I think, and therefore the opportunity to be global is really big for this group as much as anything. And I've obviously got the World Health Network as an organization that has lots of citizens engaged with problems that they need help with. And yeah, there's not really currently a particularly good model for that at the moment to turn it into action. It's more in the sort of comms space and not necessarily having the reach and impact that it could have potentially.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
very good. Oh, sorry. Gonna go ahead, Hannah. Yeah. No, just to say that, yeah, what you're saying, Kat, reminded me to share here the link in the chat for the ones of you who didn't participate. We had this event this year where we mapped with the innovations in Bristol and region, and we are using some of these sticky notes as a way to also think about the partnerships and to think about the interviews that I mentioned that we're going to start next year and all of that. So, but also to understand a bit of the ecosystem. So if you have any ideas, all the Tech for Good and all the others that you've mentioned so far, yeah, if you put there, we're always going to be in contact with that, with this link, and we're going to start creating more of this connection with them. So yeah, we are still going to go back to it formally and to reintroduce the whole idea. But yeah, this is where we kind of keep the backlog of the information that we have.
I just wanted to make a quick point as well, which is it's great because we're all already acting as a collective, right? We've been on the call 50 minutes or so, and this is exactly what we want to have this group doing as well, is bringing in everyone's experience and knowledge and being able to share it in a forum where we can support each other to do meaningful work. And there will inevitably be, and there already is emerging, opportunities to collaborate around things. So yeah, we can maybe work on how we sort of create the right platform to explore some of these ideas, help them to emerge, and then see what the possibility might be for some partnerships. Particularly, I was thinking, there's two-way kind of things, right? So maybe what, for example, Hannah was mentioning, there's some projects which are already I think it's not announced yet, but going to happen, which is great. And so there might be a role that a collective wave can play within that, or offer some support around, or there might be some other opportunities where, like as Jessica's saying, there might be an emergent kind of there could be a project in this. And so whether Jessica leads it through her organization, or we look at bringing other people together through Collective Wave, and we look at how we might find some other resources, for example, there's a whole world of possibilities. And I think all of us on this call are fully kind of aware that these things are emergent, and it's actually better if they emerge without too many restrictions, because then we actually have the opportunity to see what is possible, right? So we're kind of of that kind of mindset where we want these things to evolve more naturally rather than putting restrictions in straight away. So this is kind of a bit more of a free form space to bring some things in and see and kick it around a bit and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, going back to Hannah's point, my involvement within this group is kept me going a lot of the times when other things might be kind of draining me of energy. I find this always gives me lots of energy, and so yeah, we'd love that, to people participating in this space to kind of get a similar feeling from it, really. So we're really aware of that, and we don't want to bring too much restriction into place too early on, because I think that kills a lot of the energy. But yeah, thanks, Hannah. Yeah, so we will kind of we'll kind of keep this as a space where we can explore these ideas and see as things evolve. But I think if we just as this group continue to meet, we will almost inevitably end up collaborating around some things.
Thank you, James. And I think, we've gone over time, but there's nothing quite like this kind of conversation. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Keep in touch. Let us know if you've got any projects that you'd like us to support or be involved with, and let us know what you're doing, and we can support and promote through our networks as well. And I think that's it. So just massive thank you.
Yeah, Hannah, just before we do go, I think one of the next things we'd like to do is we want to host another session where we can talk in a bit more detail around this partnerships and associates model, and anyone who's interested in being part of that model, or sort of joining a bit more, I hesitate to say formal, but I don't know what the alternative word is, really, just kind of having a bit more of a commitment, I suppose, to the group. So we will talk about that, and then also I think the theory of change is something we've been working on as a core team, but we really want to get some more eyes on that and get some of your experience and review of it. So I'd love to do that in a session with you, and I think that will help bring some cohesion into when we say collective wave. What do we mean? What gives us an identity? I think having a shared perspective on a kind of a common way that we feel it's important to do work and to deliver things will be really, really good moving forwards. So yeah, I'd love to have a session with you all on that as well.
Thanks, James.
Yeah. So also we are open for general conversation. So if you want to just talk to us about anything regarding work, or just the future of our society, or things that are a bit deeper and more open, we're always open to talking. And we have the newsletter where we're going to continue the conversation with you, and the social media page and emails and all of that. So please reach out if you need to. And yeah, we're here. We're going to announce the next sessions, as James said, very soon. So yeah, we'll see you in the future, near future.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Thank
Good to see you.
you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, we've lost Yasmin. Oh, I've got it in my diary that we're gonna have a
Yeah,
chat
me
today.
too. Yeah.
Should we grab a coffee?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Back in a minute.
Hello. Hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Oh, that was so
Hello.
nice.
Rocking.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
Yes. It was very nice. I thought it was actually more people than I thought it would be. Yeah, it was good.
So Sarah's my colleague who I've known for a very long time, colleague slash friend, who's did a lot of the system change training that I've done, very informed, knowledgeable,
Great.
and who's interested in maybe partnering with us with the Wales work. Adam Liam It was someone from my master's course, who I've not seen in a long time. He's an engineering partner. They've got a firm in Bristol, so that could be really interesting.
Mm.
Nice.
Who was Adi or Addy?
I thought you knew him.
No,
No, no one knew Addy.
we should have asked him to speak. Really.
I
Yes.
wonder if he's someone who doesn't speak in the public space. He said, like, he put a note in the comments saying he's got some thinking to do.
Okay.
Yeah, before the event, I messaged everyone just saying, hello, come to the event.
Oh, great.
And he replied very positively saying, oh, I will definitely come. So I think he's been at least he's been seeing what's going on for a while.
Mm.
So he might be new in the LinkedIn kind of activities, but he seems very interested, and I really want to go back to him and ask what were his thoughts, because
I think that's a good shout. I think some people don't like public speaking, or they need time to process.
So but in general, your impressions?
Maybe I should go back to Liam as well, just to see if he's got any thoughts, or because he didn't speak either.
Yeah, I thought it went well. It'd be quite good to get another session, I think, out fairly soon.